Okay, so on the assumption that maybe this has something to do with trying to get Trump before November, there are a couple of ads that came out recently. Uh, one from Vote. I think it's Vets Vote. Vote
Hmm.
Vets. It's a political action committee. They had an ad comparing Trump to Benedict Arnold. He's a traitor. And there's another ad that came out from the Lincoln Project, which is a group of mostly Republicans and some former Trump supporters who are, again, calling Trump a traitor, but really a traitor to Russia. And I thought these are, I think these are aimed at
A traitor to
capturing,
Russia?
what's that?
A traitor to Russia?
A traitor for Russia. Sorry,
Oh,
a traitor.
I was like, what?
Reinterpret that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who's working for who, right?
I know.
Did you guys see that ad at all?
Yeah, I saw that Jamal Thomas, he was actually talking about this.
Okay, I just thought it's interesting how they're going after Trump, not for his overt racism and anti-left rhetoric, but they're going after him on this, you're a traitor to the country. So it seems to once they're trying to appeal to the independent voters, who might, because people on the left are all going to vote. You assume they're going to vote for Biden, right? Or,
No, I haven't seen it. What's the line of attack on the traitor? Is it something
okay,
like you let us down over? Yeah, you let us down over COVID, or you're actively working with the Russians, or
Okay, that's a good
about the. Hasn't this thing about whether he heard about the Russian bounties gone back and forth about whether that's true or not?
Well, he said it's a hoax.
And doesn't it seem like a whole
Which is-
distraction since the Afghan papers have come out and showed that Afghanistan has been a big money pit that's done nothing but been hurtful to soldiers with no gain, and where there was a danger of us pulling out of Afghanistan, and so now this comes up, right? And that's my view of it.
I mean, I don't think that it's a mistake. I don't think it's a
Yeah.
mistake that, remember, I told you guys about last week on the Legislative Week in Review about that legislation that was brought forth to withdraw troops from, or reduce the troops, remember? And it was all based on that it wasn't going to mess with the mission, that it, you know what I'm saying, that it was in the best interest of the United States and all this stuff. And then this comes out. I don't think that is a mistake.
I agree. I agree. I think this is a distraction. Though it's kind of funny. Like they didn't really need to be worried about Americans paying attention to the Afghan papers, right? Because you didn't hear like anything about that at all, except for alternative media. And everyone should be up in arms to say all this money. Stop abusing our troops, using them in a way that disrespects them, and we need the money here at home, obviously. But you hear nothing. It's really disappointing.
Well, this is obviously just a propaganda ploy. I mean, whether it's true or not, whether the Russians are paying bounties or not. I mean, obviously the whole thing is like, it's to elicit an emotional response. Like, oh my God, they're the KGB is paying, the Taliban to kill our boys and women, our girls over there or whatever. And, which may or may not be true, but there's no convincing evidence has been provided so far, except for like unnamed sources, right? Unnamed intelligence sources.
It's also classic gaslighting and swift-boating, right? And basically take something and make it the opposite of what it is. I mean, Trump was looking to pull troops out of Afghanistan, which is actually respecting using them in the correct way, right? For a worthwhile mission. If it's not a worthwhile mission, pull them out. And so they're essentially gaslighting us and swift-boating him by making him seem like a traitor.
Yeah, and Trump is. I mean, I'm sorry, but he's an idiot. He was on the right track sometimes, but I mean, he's out in South Dakota talking about the extreme left, pulling down statues as a threat or whatever. I mean, this is Trump this is his campaign promise was to get out of these foreign entanglements, and bring troops home. And he's actually, when he's starting to do that, that's the real threat to the national security, to the neoliberal world order. And that's when they feel threatened. They're not threatened by the racism, by all the other stuff. And Trump, why isn't he seizing on this and saying, calling a spade a spade? I mean, because these people are, they're the enemy, and he could probably create some support for himself by calling them out on it, but he's not.
Oh, I agree 100%. If he were to simply say what we've just discussed, basically, the Afghan papers come out, it shows that this is a complete disrespect to soldiers to use them in an incorrect way like this. That's not for the good of the American people or anybody. And the fact that he was considering pulling them out, and all of a sudden this thing comes up, you just call that out exactly like you say, Steve.
But we also have to remember that every single time that he starts to try to take action towards peace or de-escalation, what happens? On the left, they go and they attack him from the right.
Yes.
And he is in bed with Russia, or that he's a Russian puppet, or, they do things to undermine it, even though he is taking actions that his base supposedly is for.
Well, they're both attacking each other on the left. So they're attacking Trump as being in bed with Putin, right? And then the Trump campaign is attacking Biden of being a leftist, which is like absurd. But that's, they're both going after this old Cold War phobia of the left, and I just don't see it as being effective, because people under 40 don't even remember the Soviet Union or the Cold War, and like, how is that going to get people riled up? I mean,
yeah, I think you're right. Especially under 40s are just laughing about this. Like, what is this? What is this Putin Russia stuff? What is that about? That's crazy,
Well, and I mean, how is Russia a threat to them? And they're like, I can't pay my rent. I have medical bills or whatever. I'm worried about this stuff. You're telling me Russia is the biggest threat? I mean, I don't, people they just don't, I don't think it's convincing.
But it goes to, I guess, work as a cover for them to be able to be inept and do nothing, but appear like they're doing something because they're resisting.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. It's just all about resisting Trump, which, again, it goes back to that argument of electing Trump again can be good because, supposedly you would still have that sector that is still riled up. People wouldn't go back to sleep. You have that argument. But then you also have the argument that, again, he takes all the air out of the room, and the whole conversation just becomes, but Trump. And then you can't do anything.
Yeah,
I thought it might be one of you. Was one of you guys that said that nobody builds a mansion when they're in power? It's when they're out of power. Was it one of you guys, or was that Sager or somebody? I can't remember. Recently, I heard that, basically saying that it's easy to be out of power. It's easy to fundraise off of Trump bad man, Trump orange man. And I wouldn't doubt if they essentially wanted that again, because it's so easy to do that, to play that part.
And then they can still do the bidding of the corporations, the big banks and the military industrial complex and the pharmaceutical industrial complex and all of these the prison industrial complex. They can do the bidding of all their overlords. And in the meantime, we get fucked over.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think the efforts are aimed at those undecided voters, because they want to, right now it's like, well, it looks like Biden is going to win, but who knows what's going to happen over the next 4 months. And they want to probably bring out some Epstein connection with Trump, and then they'll talk about Trump as a traitor. So all those older people, the over 50 people who are a lot of them were Trump supporters, especially like in the South. If all of a sudden they see, oh, Trump is a traitor, whatever, some of them might go over to Biden as like the lesser evil, right? So I think that's that's what's behind this, because the younger people, like, they're concerned about climate change, they're concerned about student loan debt and everything, and Biden really isn't addressing those things, but Trump is almost, is like a climate denier or whatever. So I think they're probably, most of them are going to vote either for Biden or they're going to vote for somebody else, but they're not going to necessarily vote for Trump. So I think this campaign is targeting those voters who were kind of the core of Trump support in 2016.